Prabhu Nityananda Jai Dvaita Gadadhar Shri Vas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Sham Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavana Dham Ki Shri Mathura Dham Ki Shri Navatvipa Mayapur Dham Ki Shri Jagannatha Puri Dham Ki Ganga Mai Ki Jamuna Mai Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Shri Mati Tulasi Devi Maharani Ki Shri Brihat Mridanga Ki Shri Harinama Sankirtana Yagya Ki Shri Mahamantra Hare Krishna Ki Samveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Iskon Gaura Vrinda Ki Shri Vaishnava Sadhu Sangha Ki Shri Jagannatha Swami Ki Shri Jagannatha Swami Ki Shri Baladeva Shrimat Subhadra Maharani Ki Shri Gaura Nitai Ki Shri Nrsimha Dev Bhagavan Ki Giriraj Maharaj Ki Shri Shalagrama Shila Ki Shri Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya Ki Mahagrantha Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Iskon Jagannatha Puri Dhamma Ki Transcendental Book and Prasadam Distribution Ki Shri December Marathon Ki Gaur Pramanande All glorious assembly devotees All glorious assembly devotees All glorious assembly devotees All glorious, all glorious, all glorious Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga.
He's not coming. I will just skip all the time. Sure. Yes, there was a misunderstanding.
Shishi Gornitai ki jai. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada 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 Srila Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Parajata Shishimad Divine Grace Shila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Gaura Premanandi Haribol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So there was a misunderstanding between Ramdas, Akhandadip Prabhu and myself, and Akhandadip Prabhu is not coming. So we'll just read from Srimad Bhagavatam today. We are continuing, Canto 4, Chapter 24, Text 56. You have it on your phone, Prabhu, the verse? Then at least somebody can recite. Yatra nirvishtam aranam. Yatra nirvishtam aranam. Kritanto nabhimanyate. Kritanto nabhimanyate. Vishvang vidvang sayan virya. Vishvang vidvang sayan virya. So shaurya vispurjita bhruva. Shaurya vispurjita bhruva. Yatra nirvishtam aranam. Kritanto nabhimanyate. Vishvang vidvang sayan virya. Shaurya vispurjita bhruva. Prabhu, you like to chant? Yatra nirvishtam aranam. Kritanto nabhimanyate. Vishvang vidvang shayang virya. Shaurya vispurjita bhruva. Yatra nirvishtam aranam. Kritanto nabhimanyate. Vishvang vidang sayang virya. Shaurya vispurjita bhruva. Yatra nirvishtam aranam. Kritanto nabhimanyate. Vishvang vidvang shayang virya. Shaurya vispurjita bhruva. Hare Krishna. The word for word translation. Yatra, wherein. Nirvishtam aranam, a completely surrendered soul. Krita antaha, invincible time. Na abhimanyate, does not go to attack. Vishwam, the entire universe. Vidvangsayan, by vanquishing. Virya, prowess. Shaurya, influence. Vispurjita, simply by expansion. Pruva, of the eyebrows. Translation: simply by expansion of his eyebrows, invincible time personified can immediately vanquish the entire universe. However, formidable time does not approach the devotee who has taken complete shelter at your lotus feet. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jai. In Bhagavad Gita 10:34, it is said that the Lord in the shape and form of death destroys all a person's possessions. Mrityu sarva haraschaham. I am all-devouring death. The Lord in the shape of death takes away everything that is created by the conditioned soul. Everything in this material world is subject to perish in due course of time. However, all the strength of time cannot hamper the activities of a devotee, for a devotee takes complete shelter under the lotus feet of the Lord. For this reason only is a devotee free from formidable time. All the activities of the karmis and jnanis, which have no touch of devotional service, are spoiled in due course of time. The material success of the karmis is destined to be destroyed. Similarly, the impersonal realization attained by the jnanis is also destroyed in the course of time. Aruya krichrena parang padang tatha patantyado nadrita yushmad angrayaha. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:2-32. To say nothing of the karmis, the jnanis undergo severe austerities to attain the impersonal Brahmajyoti. But because they do not find the lotus feet of the Lord, they fall down again into this material existence. Unless one is fully situated in unalloyed devotional service, there is no guarantee of liberation. Even if one is elevated to the heavenly planets or to the impersonal Brahman effulgence. A devotee's achievement, however, is never lost by the influence of time. Even if a devotee cannot completely execute devotional service, in his next life he begins from the point where he left off. Such an opportunity is not given to the karmis and jnanis, whose achievements are destroyed. The bhakta's achievement is never destroyed, for it goes on perpetually, be it complete or incomplete. This is the verdict of all Vedic literatures. Shuchinang Srimatang Gehe Yoga Brashto Vijayate. If one is unable to complete the process of Bhakti Yoga, he is given a chance in his next life to take birth in a pure family of devotees or in a rich family. In such families, a person can have a good opportunity to further progress in devotional service. When Yamaraj, the superintendent of death, was instructing his assistants, he told them not to approach the devotees. The devotees should be offered respect, he said, but do not go near them. Thus the devotees of the Lord are not under the jurisdiction of Yamaraj. Yamaraj is a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he controls the death of every living entity. Yet he has nothing to do with the devotees. Simply by blinking his eyes, time personified can destroy the entire cosmic manifestation. But he has nothing to do with the devotee. In other words, devotional service, which is rendered by the devotee in this lifetime, can never be destroyed by time. Such spiritual assets remain unchanged, being beyond the influence of time. Om Jnanatimmirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatang Vitang Tvang Sajivam Sadvaitang Savadutang Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitangscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine. Hare Krishna. So sorry that Akanti Prabhu is not here.
Saturday second.
Yeah.
And the last Saturday he did.
Yeah, but somehow Ramdas Prabhu, he said he will come 2 Saturdays in a row because he was sick before and it was a misunderstanding. He will come on the 7th of January, he will continue. So, in this purport and in this verse, a very important topic comes up, which is very important to understand for the practicing devotee, the sadhaka. Because the sadhaka, still being influenced by material energy, he's striving for some result. No, he's acting to attain a certain result. The karmi, he's acting in a way so that he can enjoy the fruits of his action in the form of sense enjoyment, sense pleasure, and the jnanis, they try to attain liberation. So it's always a goal. And the bhakta, also having this mentality, he's acting. I mean, the bhakta doesn't have this mentality, but the neophyte devotee who is still having some material contamination in the heart, he or she will act in bhakti yoga, but there is still some desire to become happy. Actually, one who is completely situated in Krishna consciousness doesn't have any desire anymore. Means there is no hankering and lamentation. There is also no fear. because one understands that simply by being situated in Krishna consciousness, I'm a servant of Krishna, everything is perfect. So nothing has to be attained, nothing has to be achieved. But in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna, we know that he's actually a devotee of the Lord, but he gives the example of a materialistic person, and he's also displaying this doubt that, okay, Bhakti Yoga is the highest, but what if I perform Bhakti Yoga and then I somehow or other stop practicing, or I cannot reach the perfection of Bhakti Yoga, what will happen then? And actually, for the practicing devotee, this is something which is there in the heart, this doubt, maybe more conscious or more unconscious. So it should be addressed. And Prabhupada, he explains here in short, that the devotee is completely protected. Nothing can be taken away from his activities because he's engaging in devotional service, and that is protected always. It cannot be taken away by time. And I think it's nice to maybe look a little bit practically at how Srila Prabhupada preached and how he set up the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. When I joined this temple, then due to the history of the yatra, this temple, we came in touch with devotees who dedicated a lot of their time, their life, especially in their youth, to this mission. But then somehow or other, many of them, due to also circumstances in the institution, they left. They still practice, but they situated themselves outside of the institution, often outside of the association of devotees. And often, not often, but from time to time, what we got to hear is that, okay, it's good to be in the temple, but you should make sure that you are situated properly, that you have to find the perfect place in your life and see that you are well situated according to your nature. Make sure you are peaceful and balanced and all that. And it is very dangerous, if you just surrender, but then in the end you realize, I still have some desires and all that. Prabhupada, when he came to the West, he did amazing things. He gave sannyas to young devotees who were obviously neophytes. People who grew up in the West who had all kinds of samskaras, sexual samskaras, drug abuse samskaras, all kinds of samskaras, but he would still give sannyas. And that is also then something which, after some time, devotees started to ask themselves, how could Prabhupada give them sannyas? Many of them left the ashram and got married, or married is the better option. Some, they just have many affairs. And actually Prabhupada, when we listen to many of the memories, he was very encouraging. When this happened, he would always say, okay, you cannot say sannyas, so you get married and you continue practicing devotional service, no problem. He was very, very forgiving and very flexible in a sense. So how come we have these two opinions? One is stressing very much that we have to find our dharma in this life and look at our nature and be very balanced and happily situated materially and spiritually as well. And then Prabhupada, who came and acted in a way which sometimes seemed to be that he's actually neglecting that part. Even though he could see that devotees are not qualified, he still engaged them in that way. And Prabhupada, he used to quote one verse often from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 5th chapter, text 17. Dakta sadharmam charanam bhujang harer bhajanna pakvo tapate tato yadi yatra kvava bhadram abud amushyakim kovartapto bhajatang sadharmata. If someone gives up his occupational duties and works in Krishna consciousness and then falls down on account of not completing his work, what loss is there on his part? And what can one gain if one performs his material activities perfectly? Very important verse, and actually this defeats the whole argument. And even we hear these arguments of devotees who have been practicing that they feel bad that they didn't they surrendered for so many years, and then after some time they were overwhelmed with desires and they kind of fell out. Actually, the right answer is whatever you did, it will never be lost. And you surrendered, let's say you surrendered 10, 20 years of your life to the mission of Srila Prabhupada, even though maybe your consciousness was not pure, but because you did it to please Srila Prabhupada, you cannot imagine what kind of benefit you get. And it's not to be compared with any material benefit. You cannot compare. So that is the reality of things, that Prabhupada very much encouraged devotees to surrender, because he understood the value of pure devotional service. And he understood it so much that he even engaged neophytes who were not on that level in pure devotional service, knowing it will give them eternal benefit. So I think this verse today, we can remind that point, that we are, in our practice we go through periods of doubt. What should we do? How should we situate ourselves? I have some material desires, and is it actually good to, should I go after the material desires and like that? And that is all there, and of course we should also be truthful and situate ourselves in a way which we feel comfortable and we can practice Krishna consciousness. And but we should never forget that there can be no better thing than to surrender to the pure devotee and Krishna. And the highest consideration is always to see how we can be Krishna conscious. Meaning, if I'm more Krishna conscious in this ashram, then I will choose this ashram. If I'm more Krishna conscious in this ashram, then I will choose this ashram. If I'm more Krishna conscious in this activity, I will do this activity. It just depends on how much I can be engaged in Krishna consciousness, how much I can focus on Krishna. And in this purport, Prabhupada also speaks about what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, saying that when you leave this body and you're not complete in devotional service, you will actually continue in the next life where you left off. And even in Srimad Bhagavatam, there is many stories which highlight that point. Does anyone have any examples where some devotee passes away and then comes again to continue? Bharat Maharaj, who continued in devotional service as a deer and then later on as Chada Bharat. Somebody else?
General continues the process. Buddha's not doing Krishna to say this, and he continues his process.
Yes, Ajamil, he also continued with devotional service. There is many stories. It is described how Narada Muni practiced in his previous life. There is a description, not in Bhagavatam, but in another place, how Prahlad Maharaj, he was practicing in his previous life. Yeah, those two come to my mind. Yes.
And Arjuna also will continue his devotee to Krishna.
He will also continue.
Because he had some things about other, but Krishna told him all possibilities, and he took that possibility that he felt the best from for his heart. Because he wanted not to become a worry, but he decided in the last way that he does it.
Yeah, Krishna convinced him to perform devotional service, and that there is no loss or diminution.
And he was honest.
Honest?
He did it from all his heart.
Arjun,
Yeah.
yes. Yes. So we are now in this human form of life. Somehow or other isn't it amazing? Brazilian, Estonian, Ukrainian, Swiss, and we are just here practicing devotional service by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. But then I always think personally how in this life I came to devotional service, but I also went through, there was like 20 years of my life I didn't know anything about Krishna. And I was fully absorbed in materialistic life, and now when I came in touch with Srila Prabhupada and ISKCON, I feel so relieved and happy, and then I'm thinking, I don't want to do this again. Like I'm practicing now and back to Godhead, and even if I don't go back to Godhead, let me at least, when I come back from the beginning, remember Krishna and be in the association of devotees and engage in devotional service. I remember Akinchana Krishna Prabhu, I'm not sure if he told me personally, Aindra Prabhu once told him privately that you took birth in New York because your bhava was New York. No, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying you take birth according to the bhava you have. So he said, you took birth in New York because that was your bhav. We took birth in the US because that's our bhav. So each and every one of us, wherever we took birth, somehow or other, that was our bhav. And if I remember about me, you know, my former years as a child, that bhav which I had to go through and live, it's not nice, you know, eating meat and not thinking about God, just about myself and like an animal. Then, and Ayendra Prabhu was making so you reform your bhav, change your bhav, so you don't have to go to New York anymore, next life. Hare Krishna. Do you want to add anything? Krishna Prabhu, Dinadayal Prabhu, Ravindra Gopal Prabhu. The verse. Translation.
Yes.
Simply by expansion of his eyebrows, invincible time personified can immediately vanquish the entire universe. However, formidable time does not approach the devotee who has taken complete shelter at your lotus feet. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mai ki jai, Shri Gaurnita ki jai. So then we could end here and maybe do a little kirtan, do arati. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare
acho que eles nem leram. Porque, sabe o que aparece? Porque a FJ não deu assim. Acidente malucão. Sutta meant that maybe I should first make a drive run, to run around. If you want to